With Muammar Gaddafi now in hiding and opposition forces in control, violence is giving way to recovery in much of Libya. The city of Misrata saw intense fighting over the past several months. Now it's a key defensive post for anti-Gaddafi forces as they try to root out the former dictator. Susan Ormiston is in Misrata and has more on the scene there.
You know, we haven't been inside Misrata. We weren't able to get here when the fighting was taking place in March and April, and it is truly shocking to see the destruction in the center of this city. Of course, this is on the ocean. It was a port, and it was the pro-Gaddafi forces laid siege to this city so that supplies couldn't get into Libya and get out to the rebel fighters. The main roundabout in the city, there is huge destruction, buildings, bomb holes in buildings, mortars, arrays of weapons sort of out on display, blackened windows, blocks and blocks and blocks. A huge rebuilding effort here. It's clear that the battle here was long and very, very vicious. Along the road to Misrata, we saw a lot of evidence of the battle, that these places changed hands many times during the spring and summer between pro and anti-Gaddafi forces. Of course, they're now in the hands of the rebels, and solidly so. We had to go through many stiff checkpoints where they're keeping a tight ring around Misrata now to make sure that no one infiltrates this city. And of course, this is the route that you go towards the city of Sirte, which is the next battleground. In Tripoli, where we left this morning, it is improving, mainly because the closest border point is open, and also the port is beginning to open. It's not truly functional yet, and we're going to check the port in Misrata later to see its status. But 85% of the food in this country is imported, so you can understand when the borders and the ports are closed, it's very difficult to get fresh food and water. As you know, 500,000 liters of water came into the port of Tripoli yesterday, so I think we're looking at continued steady improvement now in the capital city. Interestingly, the National Transitional Council said today that the city is so secure they don't need as many fighters as have come to the city from places like Misrata, and they're telling some of the the fighters to go home, that we're fine now. We're putting in, we're starting to put in police and organized security, and there are too many fighters in the city, and it's time for them to go back to their home communities. So what a difference 2 weeks makes. It's truly phenomenal. Of course, we are poised to watch what happens in Gaddafi's hometown over the weekend. There has been discussion of a week's grace for tribal leaders there to negotiate with the anti-Gaddafi forces. The rebel forces are still moving down this highway. We've seen tanks and armaments moving down the highway today. They're massing around the city of Sirte and 2 other places in Libya. We don't know whether the discipline will hold and whether there will be a week's reprise or whether the rebels will move on these communities.
Susan Ormiston in Misrata.